thewellnesscouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives. This is Up for a Chat with Cindy O'Meara, Karen Smith, and Kim Morrison.
Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Karen Smith.
I'm Kim Morrison.
And I'm Cindy O'Meara.
And we have a beautiful, beautiful soul sitting across the table from us today. The gorgeous Lis Kent is joining us on the podcast. So, Kimmy, Liz actually works for you, but you wanted to make sure that we interviewed Liz because I think there's something quite unique about you, my love. And that, you know, you are into your health and your well-being, and now you're surrounding yourself with other people who are doing the same thing. You've uprooted your whole entire life, moved from Toowoomba to the Sunshine Coast. Now you're working with Kim, and I should have you working with me at the end of this podcast.
She will too, be
She will too.
I'm glad I got him first.
Yeah, good girl. Go you. But I got Annika too, so
Yeah.
So we could trade. So anyway.
Or share.
We could share. Yeah. We could totes share.
Well, we actually do.
Co-share.
Yeah, right. Anyway, back to you. So, Lisa, the most fascinating thing for us, I think, which would be really cool for the mums who listen to the show with their daughters and their kids, is to understand what has driven you to pursue a life of health, wellness and fitness. How old are you now?
23, and I'll be 24 soon.
And you look like you're 12.
Oh, thank you.
You're just absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Flawless, stunning, with a smile that obviously just lights up a room. So, you know, for somebody that's your age, really, the world is your oyster and you could choose to do anything you wanted.
Yes.
Why did you choose health and wellness, and why on earth have you left Toowoomba to come to the Sunshine Coast?
I thought you were going to say, why on earth did you want to work with Kim?
I was going to, but then I thought that might be a bit hard. You're such a tart.
Well, it wasn't a very hard move to make from Toowoomba to the Sunshine Coast. I'm very much a beach person. Mum always referred to me as a beach babe. So I don't deal well with the cold at all.
Right.
And I did move to Melbourne for 6 months at the start of the year.
Wow.
And that was great experience. But I then came home because we have an organic store in Toowoomba, and just to help Mum out again.
Right.
So, and then called Kim and said, not really sure where I want to go. And she said, Sunshine Coast. I said, well, it's where I want to end up. Just didn't think it was going to be so soon.
Right. So your parents owning the organic store, that's kind of been...
But let's go back.
Yeah, we can go right back to the beginning.
I actually think we need to go back to...
But wait, there's more.
Because she's actually a country girl.
Okay.
She's from a big property out at Dalby, out near Dalby.
Yeah.
And your father is a grain...
Cotton and grain
grower.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So she's not, and we've done country girls before. We've done one country girl before.
And Kirsty, so very close with Kirsty.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, your family.
Yeah.
Your family, exactly. She's family.
Family. Yeah. So, yes, grew up on a property outside of Dalby, and that was, as a child, was just amazing. And I'm very, very grateful and thankful to my parents. So then...
what was that like? What did you do? Like... You went to school and came home, and then what did you do?
Yeah, we were very big into horses, so I have my mum to thank for that. I look back now and think, gosh, I don't even know how she did it, but she did. And it was just because we were very passionate and loved it, and so that's the reason why she did it.
So I just want you just in there in that moment, acknowledging mothers out there, just explain what your mother used to do for you around the horses, just so us mums out there can realise when they hit their 20s, they do appreciate it.
So I was very pretentious. When I said it. I don't even want to admit. No, well then, so then I went to boarding school year 6 and was still heavily involved with horses. So I would go to boarding school. Mum would train the horses during the week, pick me up on a Friday afternoon, horse float loaded, horses trained, everything packed.
And all their bows and all their... everything had been done.
And because we did this sport called show horse, which is hacking, so it's very... very precise, and the horses have to be immaculate, and the way you dress, and
they like the horses take longer to get ready.
Than we do.
Than they do.
They even you'd love it, Karen. They even have makeup and you highlight their whites on their
Really?
on their feet. And
I just want you to know I did it once with my daughter and I said, I'm not doing hacking, I'm sorry, go to eventing or anything else, but do not do hacking.
yeah, my sister went to eventing and she couldn't handle it. It was too much. So she would pick us up and we would do the event and she'd then drop us back into school like little princesses and then she'd go home and have to unpack and train and do it all again for the next week.
Did you ever say anything much in that moment, or did you just kind of expect that as your mum to do? It just kind of happened? Be honest.
Probably not. No, I wouldn't have acknowledged it enough back then. No.
What do you think of your mum now?
Oh, she's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I see now
There's hope, mummies. There's hope.
where her passion and drive comes from. So even though she was, she didn't have a job, but her job was looking after us and supporting Dad on the farm, and so she was very, very driven and hardworking.
Wow,
so I think that's where
beautiful.
even us kids, definitely that's where we've got it from.
So that whole work ethic and that whole understanding of what it takes to actually make something come together, you got that from your parents.
Yeah, and even as a kid, when I'd go to friends' places and they'd say they were bored, we used to go, bored? What's boredom? Because we just always had something to do. So
Yeah.
no, it was really great.
And so how do they feel about you being here? Because they would be missing you.
Mum's actually really excited because my sister's in Melbourne as well. And so she felt very distant. But now that I'm back, even it's 3 hours, but doesn't
Not that
really,
far.
yeah. Growing up in a property it's not that long.
Takes that long to get to the letterbox.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it feels like at home also here at Sunshine Coast. It does. And especially being around with Kim and Cindy because they've been huge inspirations.
How fabulous.
So it is great.
Wait, I'm yet to enter your life.
Yes, yes, and of course you can. Well, as I said, I felt like I already knew you. I didn't even have to introduce myself.
I'd like to acknowledge your mum because I think she's an amazing woman. And her name is Lis Kent. And I met Edwina because Edwina just got completely into nutrition and health, and she was doing Thermomix. And no, actually she was teaching people how to cook, and then Thermomix just became a part of her repertoire. And
she didn't even want to sell the Thermomix.
No, she didn't. She just wanted to show people how to eat
and then
healthy,
did amazingly well with it. So.
And so after she finished with you kids, I figured she just then took on other people and she wanted to nurture and help other people. And I remember her asking me to come to Toowoomba to speak. I think she had 150 people waiting for me to speak. Just, because she has such an enthusiasm and such a drive. And then she started Ray Organics. So, she did that in Toowoomba, and that was huge to take on. Absolutely huge to take on.
Absolutely.
So she provided an organic store up in Toowoomba, which a lot of people would be so thankful for what your mum has done. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Oh, beautiful.
Now, you went overseas.
So, so then, so when I was in year 12, that's when Mum moved to Toowoomba and built a house, which was great. And Dad, they were still together. Dad set out the farm, so he just came in between. So it was really good for Mum because she really wanted to create something but wasn't sure what it was. And then just started to herself get into whole foods and healing herself with food. So that was great to then have that. She was doing that while I was in year 12 and just seeing what she was doing. Started to catch on a little bit, but then did a gap year overseas, so that went completely out the window.
You mean health?
Yes, health.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
You got sick too, didn't you?
Well, and being in school, I was into riding and an athlete and running, so I knew that the importance of nutrition, but wasn't completely educated. I mean, I was eating all bran for breakfast and thought I was doing an amazing thing. So I had a lot to learn. And that's when Mum started to research things. And I think she was researching more from the point of her and also where I was going with sport. But then went overseas and, as I said, that went out the window. I came back and I did, everyone puts on, they call it the gap fat. A few extra kilos. And so I was a little bit in denial. I didn't think I had that much to carry. But then as I started to get back into sport, just realised I wasn't as fit as I was, and just little things are starting to pull me down. So I think that's when I took on a personal trainer, and that's what it was. I took on a personal trainer and was doing that for 12 weeks and lost the weight, and then very quickly, but then just could not keep it off, and my eating just was all over the place, and I was binge eating, which was so unlike me growing up. And then actually it was Cindy, who was in Toowoomba, who Mum said, just come along. And I'd moved out at that stage because I wanted to be by myself and thought I knew everything. She said, just come with me to see this nutritionist. And I was like, okay, whatever. And Mum wasn't quite sure who Cindy was either. So I sat there, and the first thing Cindy said that I listened to, she said, now who likes chai lattes? And I put my hand up, and she says, where do you get your chai latte from? I said, McCafe, McDonald's. And then she told me everything that was in this chai latte. And that's when it was eye-opener. I went, oh, wow. So I started doing Cindy's smoothies, and I was living with 2 other girls and boys at times. And they just thought I'd gone completely weird with my blender and green smoothie. But I think that's where it all started for me. And at the same time, I was nursing, and I just wasn't sure if it was for me. I didn't have a passion for it. And the other girls I was nursing with absolutely loved it. So then I went on my prac and then realised this really isn't for me. So I wasn't sure whether to go into nutrition, mainstream, so I decided that I'd just do a PT course. And that was great, and got a great job as a PT and loved it. Knew it wasn't going to be long term. And then I decided, even through that time, I was having more and more health issues, and Mum was selling Thermomix, and we were just really educating ourselves on what to do. And then, where did it start? Yeah, and then we just got frustrated being in Toowoomba looking for a central place to get our food. And people say, where do you get your food? And we say, well, we go here, there, everywhere. And so we said we need a central place. So that's when we decided, well, we'll do it ourselves.
Oh, wow.
So we,
industrious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was still I was just PTing and thought I wanted to do something bigger, but I just wasn't sure what it was. I did want to stay in Toowoomba because I'm very much a home girl. So then we started that, and that was a huge, huge journey. And so that was 3 years ago we started that.
That's huge, isn't it? Isn't that fabulous?
Yeah. And it was great, and we don't regret. We've learnt so much, having not had a retail experience. A little bit in hospitality that I did through school and just cafe jobs. But it was a great experience and great opportunity.
And what do you think your main learnings were from that? Where did that take you? Learning from having the retail store and understanding customers and running a business, what did that teach you?
There was never a day off at 7 days. No, it was very stressful and hard work. We didn't know what we got ourselves into, but it was more the customers coming in and just being so thankful and seeing changes, and even parents coming in with kids and saying, you've changed our lives. Even kids that had ADD and they're on medication, it wasn't until they started changing their food. And so it was pretty incredible, and that's what kept fueling us to keep going, were these amazing customers. And then we realised what we were doing for Toowoomba, that no one else was doing it.
So I'm interested, when you did the PT course, and going back to the PT course, what was the nutrition that you were taught in the PT course, or were you taught none? What was it that they expected you, what do they do?
So it's a very, very small module, and it was more energy in, energy out, so calories. And that's even when I started.
Still, that's what I was taught in the 90s.
It's probably the same, module.
I just kept thinking it's evolving, but it's not.
No. And I was very limited in what I knew, and I just, it wasn't until I started educating myself through Cindy and reading in different books that, I realised that whatever was going to be said, I probably wasn't going to believe it anyway. So it was very, very limited. But a PT course is 3 months.
Wow, mine was a year.
Yeah. And so I don't totally agree with it. And that's when I came out as a PT, and my first client was a woman who was over 100 kilos. And I was scared. I thought, this lady is in my hands and I don't know what I'm doing. So that's when I decided I need to educate myself even more. So I was constantly doing courses to know what I was doing, and which was great. But a lot of PTs out there, I guess, didn't. And I think that's why I did do well. It's because I did have more education and are willing to learn.
And I think the beautiful thing about you is you don't come across as someone who knows it all. If anything, you are someone who's also taking your clients on a journey of self-discovery, and probably what you love about it too is with them you learn. And I think what's so precious about you is that you constantly see yourself as a work in progress, and therefore you don't judge others for that.
Oh, absolutely. And I was forever trying different things, and also and I was starting to get sick, and I was going down the line of autoimmune. So educating myself with that, and then seeing little bits of that in other clients we were always trying out different things.
Biohacker.
Biohacking. Yeah. So let's go back to your first client.
Yeah.
How did you handle that? How did you, as a young girl with 3 months PT experience, but having to educate yourself, how did you handle her, and what did you do for her?
It was really interesting. This is when I started to understand personalities of people and that it is mental. So I went in there as I'd been trained and did the session as I'd been trained through the course. And she didn't come back she just didn't come back. Wow. And I would call her and I couldn't understand. I was like, why wouldn't she want to come back? She needs to lose weight.
the innocence and the naivety of youth.
And so it wasn't until I completely got it that it is emotional. And for this woman to even walk into the gym must be so hard. And then to have me as a trainer who was not even 21 and probably in her eyes fit and healthy and has it all. And that's even what she told me, that it's very easy for me. So it wasn't until I really started to get that and then started to talk, and it was just texts that I'd sent her. Anyway, it took her a month, but she came back into the gym, and then she refused. I was the only person that she didn't want to see.
It's amazing that you should say that, actually, because when people are that overweight, it is an emotional eating issue. You know, like it absolutely... It so is, and it's emotional eating, but then it's emotional about being emotional.
Absolutely.
And then it's emotional about having to do exercise. Like the whole journey is so emotional. I've got a program at the moment called Eat with Ease that is specifically for emotional eaters. And I got a message the other day from a woman, because I give them a little blue wristband, you know, those little reminder bands. It says I Eat with Ease on it, and that's their first welcome gift. And the woman sent a message saying, thank you for giving me a wristband when everybody else wanted to give me a lap band.
Oh, I love that.
I cried.
Oh,
I just cried. And I really have understood, because I've been an emotional eater myself, and my family, you know, we're all the same. But I think really getting that, it's huge. And the bigger that we are, the more of an emotional experience it actually is, and the more of a mind game it is. To conquer first, not first, but it's got to be conquered. Like that part of it's got to be, and to be your age and to be addressed with that first up. You don't get any easy ones first. You get the most challenging person that could possibly be. But I think the thing that made it so powerful and potent with what you did is you didn't let her go. You didn't stop. You kept texting her, and I think that's the part that's really crucial, is knowing that there's love. Or that there's caring, or that there's connection, because it is such an emotional experience. It can only be met with
and that's even what she said. She says no one else actually really followed up for as long as I did. They did initially.
Well, at least you know you're persistent. Absolutely. Consistency and persistency will win out every single time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so she's come back. What happened?
After a month,
what happened?
She actually did. I'm not kidding. The 21-day program, the first one that you did.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and because I still wasn't 100% sure. And actually, I'll get back to it. So I wasn't really sure about how things. She didn't know where to start, and that's when I started to follow you. And I said, look, follow this 21 days. So she's probably still even one of your biggest followers. She's been to every event.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And has she been helped? Have you?
So I'm not sure how much weight she got down, but she did lose quite a bit and then plateaued. But yeah, and hers was certainly emotional, so she's working through that.
Wow, isn't that
so? It's great.
And you know what we're learning about emotion now that we understand the microbiome, which is the bacteria, you know, in the gut area, is that if there's dysbiosis in the microbiome, which means that the pathological bacteria are more than the good bacteria, what happens is that pathological bacteria has a way of communicating with the brain to say, feed me, I'm starving here if you don't eat sugar and you don't eat the right foods for it, because it thrives on, pathological bacteria thrives on junk food, on sugars, on additives, on things like
Candida?
that. Well, it's another form, like, you know, I don't know. I think Candida is dysbiosis. Candida is a yeast, so it is still dysbiosis. So it keeps telling you to eat and eat and eat and eat because it wants to live. But when the good bacteria start to overrun the pathological bacteria, which will always be there because there's a balance, you know, there's a beautiful balance of them, then it starts to tell you to eat different things because it wants to live, and it's the major one. Look, it's stunning what we're learning now about the power of our microbiome on us as human beings, on what we act, how we think, how our immune system works, and what foods we grab for.
I remember one of our very first few podcasts, Karen making a really big point around the gut being the main brain. Do you remember that?
Or the second brain. Because
second
there's 140 million. There's 140 million receptor sites for dopamine or serotonin.
Serotonin. And it's where most of the serotonin is made. It's not made in the brain where we used to think.
80% is made in the gut.
Amazing. That was nearly 2 years ago we spoke about
We were
this.
talking about it.
So now it's starting to feel like it's becoming a little bit more mainstream, or maybe not mainstream, but a little bit more...
Mainstream in our life.
Yeah.
I think the beautiful thing that, like, this conversation's generating is that we're starting to really understand the complexity of being human. Because it's not just one thing, and I think that a lot of courses and programs, and to only be trained for such a small part in a PT course, and doctors, and you know, the nutrition is such a small part of it, as you've said, Cindy. I think the thing that we're starting to understand is that we're such complex creatures that there's so much that actually contributes to why a person eats the way that they eat, and why the body functions the way that it functions. It's not just one thing. And I think that's the magic of the research that you do, Cindy, too, is that you pick up all these different contributing factors to what makes the body tick.
The way that health and science and you know, PT, and the way that we're being taught at the moment is that the body's black and white, and it is never black and white. No. It is always grey. And we don't know enough about it to be that black and white. You know, do you give iron because there's an iron deficiency? And what we're learning now is that when we give iron, yes, it brings the blood count up, but is the iron functioning in the body? So you're getting a false reading. You're getting a reading that, oh, yeah, the iron's come up because we've been giving you metallic iron, but how is it functioning in the body? And that's what we're really starting to learn. And so to be told calorie in, calorie out, it's
deficient, really.
It's just, you know, and to think that our body is 90% genetic makeup of the microbiome and 10% our own genetic makeup. And we're just starting to learn this. And you're a young girl, 3 months education, got this lady that's come into your life that you're to help. It is daunting. It's really daunting, but well done. That you persisted and you were consistent. That you came and you like, and that's what Changing Habits is all about, is giving information so that people like you can use it for your clients.
But that's what I think is so beautiful about someone like what my aha in this is we don't have to know it all.
No.
But we can find the right networks and tribes that can support our beliefs and philosophy so that you become the vehicle or the conduit for more knowledge to come into this person because she's learnt to trust you. And if there's a trust amongst human fellow beings, she's going to trust the advice that you're going to share with someone else. And I think that's our job. If we're not the nutritionist, if we're not the Cindy O'Meara, but we believe and value her opinion, then it's up to us to give the information, and it's up to them then to take action with that. It's not your responsibility. Did you find it ever discouraging being a personal trainer? Were there things about it you didn't like?
Yeah, I did. And I even got to the point with some clients where I'd say, you're actually better off not training. Just get your eating right because you're just making yourself more hungry.
Yeah.
And I kept saying it's 80% nutrition, 20% exercise. So that's where I found...
Exercise? I just just a little slip.
In Kim's eyes, yes.
That's what it sounded like. She had to
Gotta go there.
every time.
Every time. Sorry, love.
You know, the release of oxytocin, apparently it's just as good calorie burning. You know, like, I'm just
Edwina,
saying.
don't listen.
That's why I'm not going to comment, because my mum will listen.
Oh, we won't tell her. Yeah. We promise we won't tell her you're on.
Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Go on.
So now I've lost my train of thought.
80-20.
Yeah, so 80-20. And that's what I found hard about being a PT is you see this person once or maybe twice a week, but what are they doing the rest of the time? They're not with you. So that's what I found really hard, and almost you felt like you're banging your head against the wall. And there's only so far you could lead them. Well, that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So that's what I found the most difficult part. And that's where I knew that PT wasn't going to be long-term, because I wanted to do nutrition or something down that line. So that's where Ray Organic led us. And has been able to tell my clients and say, there'll be a space for you soon. Because they were saying, where do I go? What do I do? And then it becomes too hard when you explain what you do. Because we're willing to do it, but for someone who's not so willing but knows they should.
Yeah.
You have to make it easy for them.
Absolutely.
Because most people, the people that have done it have figured out the ropes, and it's been hard, but they've figured it out. For the people who want help, they want to be spoon-fed. Don't you agree? They need to be spoon-fed. The information, they will, I believe, will go out and research and search and look. The three of us do. I know that that's what we do. But some people just go, it's too hard, it's not my focus, but I know I need to do it. Can you please make it easy for us? And I know with changing habits, when we went from information to food and now we've gone to education, it makes it easy for a person who doesn't know where to look, you know, they don't know what's right and what's wrong, to be able to follow what you're doing. And so what your family did by creating a space in Toowoomba where everything was, as far as meat, you had meat, didn't you? Dairy, you had fresh produce, you had supplements, you had even for in our bathroom, for in our laundry, you had everything. And more and more people are doing it. Yeah.
And that's even how we described it. When people said, so what is it? We said, well, an organic IGA. I mean, you've got your grocery line, you've got your fresh produce, meat, dairy, cosmetics, cleaning products.
Everything.
And a cafe. We had a cafe as well, just to make it a little bit more busy.
So are you still PTing now?
No, I stopped that about 3 years ago when we started Ray Organic. And I guess with exercise as well, my mind, she started to change a little bit because I did get quite sick and in and out of hospital with kidney infections. And that's when I realised I really need to slow down. I was training for marathons and overtraining completely. And I
can't
did
understand that.
And I did wear myself out. So that's I need to take a different approach, which was such a great learning. That's when I really got into yoga and learning to breathe and take time out. And I don't need to do everything at a fast pace.
It amazes me, 23, and you figured this out. You did this at 20, so you stopped. When did you decide that the exercise was causing you problems? Was that 3 years ago, 20?
It was around about my 21st when I was really sick.
Yeah, I find it fascinating that there are some young girls and boys that get it, and some other young girls and boys that don't get it. And I'm just wondering what makes the bloody difference. What makes the difference? Why did you get it and half of your friends? Like, let's talk about your friends if they don't listen.
And I do have friends that have similar things, just digestive issues. And we have one gorgeous friend, he would be 21, and you've met him, and he was just so sick. And he took a very long time to get it, but now he's starting to get it because it is life or death for him. So I think...
Because he went overseas too, didn't he, that gentleman?
Yeah.
That young boy. Yeah. He went overseas and got very sick and had to come home.
He went over to Canada and actually had to be flown back with two nurses, I think.
Yeah.
He was
so sick.
Very sick.
Yeah. And I actually gave it straight to him. I just said, this is what you got to do if you want to survive this or...
Cindy, you made a really interesting point before we started recording. around this whole thing with young people, thinking that they can live a certain way and they'll deal with an illness once they get there.
It's a sense of immortality almost.
Yeah. Well, and we all have that when we're young in a way. I mean, I never imagined dying when I was young. I never imagined being hurt if I was out late at night. I never imagined, whatever, anything negative really. It was always life's good, life's easy. The only thing that was negative was I never had enough money to do the things that I wanted to do. So, it's not... You made a point that I think is quite interesting, particularly for our young listeners. You don't want to be hit with an illness before you get this. So what would be your advice, Liz, to young people, or what do you think's missing in schools or growing up or education programs that we're not getting this early enough with our young people? Or is it the parenting? Like, what do you think it is?
I think it's really learning to listen to your body. And so I wish I took note of those little warning lights that came on.
But how would you have known to listen to that? Like, how do you tell a young person to hear that?
Yeah. And I see my friends that have these digestive issues and all they do is take some sort of form of tablet and say, yeah, I'll get over it. And they do temporarily, but long term they're not. So I do struggle with that. And I guess it's just educating, putting yourself out there and saying this is what happened to me. And there's lots of people like Jess Ainscoe, Melissa and Bassini who are doing wonderful things. And I guess that's where I started to learn as well, was from mentors like that.
There's a whole lot of these young women, more so than men, I think. But there's a whole bunch of these young women that have gone out and lived crazy lives and drunk and eaten bad foods and not listened to their body. They've got the disease and now they've become heroes or heroines in the eyes of many people like you. But how do we stop the craziness that our young people are doing that is now, that then creates cancer or, some kidney problem or whatever it might be? This is what frustrates me, is that these young girls have had to be stopped in their tracks. They've had to learn the hard way. They've had to do this in order to survive. But what young girls don't realise now is that, and boys, it's not just the girls, it's the boys, is that they're bringing into this world children that will never be fully functioning, will never have the start that maybe our 60s and 50s kids had, because they're not being conscious of what they are doing to their body and then in turn doing to their children. And then I see them as parents coming to me saying, my kid's got this, my kid's got that, I can't tell you how many times after I speak, how many parents come up so upset that they didn't know this. So I'm a different era to you. This, what we want to get is, how do you're there, you're at that age group. How do we get to you as mentors, how do we get to your age group or even before you,
Because I think the parents only know what they know.
Yeah.
And they know what they're just doing what they think is the right thing. But there's got to be a generation where the re-education starts. Because there are parents, and I look at people that I know as well, and their kids are just replicating what they did. And that was McDonald's and Kentucky Fried, and that was all of that real junk. But the problem is that food is now worse than what it was back then. So,
and we are highly medicated,
and there's an ignorance,
a real ignorance. So, do we need to do it at school? If you had heard this at school, would you have listened?
I would have loved to hear something around.
We need to be in schools.
Self-love, or just about empowerment of self. I wish we got that in school.
Taylor made a point.
History.
But would you have heard
instead of a guest speaker who was so not inspiring about what university course to do?
Would you have paid attention?
That's a good question. Whether we would have or not.
Well, let me put this. Just recently, Taylor's in year 11, and the week of their camp, the day they left for camp, they actually went to a police station or a driving school education place. And they had certain people speak, and then they had a guy come out in a wheelchair who had been hurt by a drunk driving incident. And apparently Taylor just said they all stopped in their tracks, sometimes being confronted with the reality of it. So whilst you're saying a guest speaker talking about what university to come to, I know personally at school doing economics and accounting, relating it to a business across the road from our school, had no concept or even, I didn't even care about it. Now that I'm running my own business, I wish I'd paid more attention. But it had no interest to me back then because there was no relativity to where I was at in that moment. Had someone come in and given us a project as part of economics that we were going to make $500 by the end of this term if we followed this strategy, each one of us, I bet you, would have paid more attention because money meant a lot to us back then. So, and Taylor just going to this driving school and seeing the outcome of an accident was quite confronting for her. In fact, now when we're driving, she says to me, 2 kilometres over, you can actually alter the fact that we're going to hurt someone. So she's looking at my speed all the time, and I'm like, 2, 5, 6 Ks over doesn't hurt occasionally.
10, 15, 30.
But
I'm in a real hurry.
But what it was just interesting hearing her real
conviction around it.
Yes, and it was like it took to being in the situation, even out of school, for her to hear that. Now, I've talked about that lots with her, but it was actually being in that. So do we think, but then, from most businesses' point of views, to get this into schools, there's a whole political agenda to try and get in there.
It's a nightmare.
Secondly, and to be fair, not trying to take anything away, but for those of us that want to do this, there's no money in it. So from our point of view, to give it this commitment, and I'm not saying that we're driven by money, but to give this time in order for us to survive, there's sometimes a payoff. Now, I appreciate there's also a generosity of giving, and I certainly want to be a part of that. But I know when I've run teenage workshops around self-care and self-belief that I've had to have the mothers present. So when I've done it just with the teenagers, it's great, they get it, but they've not got the money to buy the product, or they've not got the money to do the program or whatever. And in fact, what happens with them, they hear the information, they go home and the parents are all going, well, that's not how we live, so forget it, or they don't agree with it, or they don't. So to me, it's more a community thing. It's not just school. It's actually, how do we tap into the family unit?
And I think maybe it does come, it's a really tricky question to answer, but I think maybe it does come from the parents, because I know when Mum made the move when I was in year 12 and just started to research into nutrition and whether it was her way of getting it into the family, but saying this is how it can benefit your sporting by eating these foods. So,
change
and so
the
even,
tact.
So, and even though I was overseas and having a great time and eating the wrong foods and partying on the Greek islands, I was still very aware that maybe those foods aren't right all the time, and maybe I don't need to drink that much, where others won't at all. And I didn't write myself off every.
I think you've made a good point, though. I think it still comes back to our generation taking responsibility and being the role model. The next generation coming through, our children only learn what they're taught. They're taught by example, they're taught by information that we are instilling. So if we're standing there saying, I'm fat, I'm ugly, they're learning I'm fat and ugly is okay. If they're learning, I feel so bloated, or, and mum and dad's had a big dinner party and everyone's trashed, and they're learning that that's a normal way of socialising. So there's a responsibility back. And I still believe we as parents, no matter what our age of our children, even a 70-year-old parent can still teach a 40-year-old child or child of theirs ways to be. I think it's an individual responsibility no matter where we're at.
But if you think it's important. I'm looking at, I was at a person's house a couple of months ago, and their son, what was he, probably 18, 17, he'd been out and he was really starting to take care of his body. So he was training and he was running and he was really starting to look after himself, because he saw that, it wasn't quite like that with the rest of the family. So he decided he was going to do something different. But when he came back, I was over there just having a chat. And when he came back from his big workout, he was spent. And I asked him, what did you have while you were training? And he said, a protein shake while I was training. So I said, show me it. It was just pure chemical. And then when it came time for him, when he came back from training and he was starving, hungry, his mum made 4 slices of white bread with a big tin of baked beans in the centre. And I said to her, so what do you think that's doing for him? What do you think that's... Well, he's getting his carbohydrates, he's getting his fat in the margarine, and he's also getting his protein in the baked beans. And I said, wow. I said, so you think that's a good whole meal for him who's just trained his freckle off after he's just had chemicals in his thing? And there was no convincing this particular woman. There was no convincing her otherwise. There was just no convincing her otherwise. When I explained all of that and showed the tin of the baked beans and showed the margarine and showed the bread, there was no convincing. No chance at all. In the end, I just said, oh, well, because it was started to become quite heated. And I went, well, it's not worth the friendship. So let's call it a day. But it was amazing. And so now, that's what he's conditioned to feed himself with those things, because he sees all the advertising in the weightlifting magazines of these nutritional supplements and the protein stuff and all that.
I was taught to sell, and that's when I actually left the gym to work for a studio, because I just couldn't deal with that.
You're taught to sell the supplements.
I had to sell a supplement to every client I had.
Wow, because that's where they make their money in the retail.
Yeah. And I was even taught by the rep. He said, if you believe in this product so much, and your client does, then that's all that needs to be. He said, because we could just be selling chemicals and rice flour. And I said, so is that what it is? And he said, yeah, pretty much. So he knew that the products weren't serving at all. It was just how much you believed in it and how much you could sell.
Oh, see, I get very irritated by that.
It was interesting last night. I flicked the television on and one of the magazine shows were on. I think it was a current affair. And there was it was all about surviving the school holidays. And they picked a mother with blue hair, with pink fringe, that was obviously overweight and not healthy. And her children, to me, looked a little bit hyperactive. And I might be judgmental here, but this is what I saw. And I despaired. I actually despaired watching what they were eating, what she could afford for her children at the grocery store, the whole thing. And I think, is this current Australia? Is this where we're at? Is that they don't have the finances to help themselves or their children. They don't have the knowledge to help themselves or their children. And what this was about was a financial guru coming in to say, look, this is the way you can save some money. And she did a great job, but she still put the Coke and the lemonade in front of these kids, as opposed to going out and buying Coke and lemonade at the movies. They made popcorn instead of buying popcorn at the movies. But I kept thinking, maybe this is...
it's only going to happen. It's only going to happen when people apparently need to hear information at least 7 times before it starts registering. So it's the people like the Jesse Rimmers, the Pete Evans, the public known figures that are starting to really fight these conglomerates and fight these big food companies, and that people are starting to see conflict in media and they're starting to notice that there's conversations around this. But even once off, they might hear it and go, oh, wow. But then if it disappears out of the media again, then it's kind of like, oh, back to default, back to what they know. It's just a one-off. Or they see what we're all doing as a fad, not the norm. So until it becomes the norm, we're going to constantly have this challenge. And
so it's just consistency then, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, it's just consistency.
Well, it is, but how does the general public get it if all they're doing is watching television and mainstream television? Because mainstream television is not a place to be educated, and it's not giving the right information. For instance, this morning, I swim every morning, and there's this really lovely man that we seem to have the same pace. So we always start together and we finish together, and so we walk back together. We do, do the kilometre and we walk back together. And we've had several conversations. He's a fireman from down in Melbourne, and we started talking today. He says, so what do you do, Cindy? And I said, well, I do nutrition and I'm a nutritionist. And we had this whole conversation about food. And I talked about the Heart Foundation and how I felt that the Heart Foundation was letting people down and that their ticket of approval was a waste of time. And he had no idea what I was talking about. Had never, ever on the face of this earth heard anybody say that the Heart Foundation was bad. And I went, clearly we are not getting the message out.
It's just profile then, isn't it? I mean, really, if you think about anything, if you think about a business in terms of making it successful, what does it take? Well, it takes becoming famous for that message. It takes building profile, and it takes consistency, and it takes building it and consistently doing the same thing over and over again, but expanding the audience.
And I have seen that expansion in the last 5 years, I must admit.
Have you seen it, Liz? Have you seen
I
the expansion
have.
in your generation?
Yeah, even within my friends, just even what they'll upload on Instagram or what they'll like or share on Facebook is just recipes. And I think, oh, wow, okay, they are starting to get it. I think a lot of my friends, now that they can see how good they can feel, they do value the food. And whether it's a weight loss thing, I'm not sure, but...
And how do they see themselves? How do you know this
thing?
What's that?
I'm saying whether it's a weight loss thing
Or a health thing.
the body image.
So that's what my next question was. How do you think they're perceiving themselves visually to the world? How are they... Is that what the marker is what they weigh?
I think it's very much, well, still your appearance, your weight, your appearance, what you look like. I think that could be why. Coming from CrossFit, being a PT, and then I got into the CrossFit, most people are there to lose weight, and so then they start paleo because paleo is a part of CrossFit. There is very few people that will actually do it and eat paleo because they're elite trainers and that they know that's what fuels their body, but a lot of people will do it.
So is that a good thing?
I still think it's a good thing.
I mean,
Because
it's a bit like the HCG and your 4-phase fat elimination program. All of a sudden people are told they can't put oil on their skin or fat. So for the first time in their lives, they're actually looking at the ingredients in skincare. Same thing. They want to lose weight.
I think because it has more of a positive effect than a shake diet or a weight loss diet because it changes the whole chemical process in your body and you're on cravings. But when you're eating good food, you're thinking, wow, I'm actually losing weight and feeling good, and it's not so difficult.
And you're eating good food.
Yeah.
And you're eating real food. You're not eating
That's why I
shake.
still think, even if it's coming from a weight loss or an appearance, it's more positive and more sustainable.
I don't know. I get that, and I totally get, like it causes people to think in a new direction, and that's absolutely priceless. And you can't take that away from it. But it still concerns me that it's born out of an eating disorder. It's born out of a disorder. It's born out of a disorderly relationship with food and a disorderly relationship with the self. And then food is used as the weapon, so that then food becomes something to be frightened of. People are so frightened of eating this or frightened of eating that or frightened of eating this and frightened of eating that, which they probably should be for the most part. But it becomes driven from this whole disordered way of thinking. Therefore, it has no chance of having any longevity, and it has no chance of having any genetic hand-me-down education.
Well, it might though, but where it's taken us 2 generations to become so sick, it could take the next 2 generations to get us out. And sometimes as human beings, we have to go to the extreme of one end in order to understand.
Fear to do it.
Well, you've got to be driven by fear or anger or passion and love. I mean, what will make us change is major emotional feelings. So, I think it will have longevity. What it will take is that, say, Liz's generation now does paleo. There's this big paleo movement and everything. They're all doing it to look good. They're probably not understanding the chemistry and the biohacking and the beautiful thing around it. But the fundamental basis of paleo is real food. So maybe through them coming out the other side of this and realising how good they feel without those takeaway foods, they may not understand the education process or why they're going to do that with their children. But to me, that sounds a lot more positive than drinking shakes and binge drinking, binge eating and dieting. And
you can't take that away from it. And those are absolutely the benefits. Absolutely the benefits.
And there has to be a disorder around our thinking. We've all got an eating disorder because the world is full of disordered food. It's not real food. So, of course,
but also what we see, what we see.
And that's driven by the people making those foods. So it's not real.
It's a complex argument, isn't it? It's a really complex conversation.
Is. And I think, and it is only 2 generations. And when we look back and realise that we are thousands of generations of human beings, millions probably, I don't know how far back, but we are, so many generations. And it's only been these last 2. And I really believe that we're going to look back at this time and think, what the hell were we thinking? That we thought that we could live on this plastic fantastic food, that we thought that drugs would solve everything, that we believed that vaccinating within an inch of our lives with chemicals, maybe the theory's okay, but what are they putting into us? With the eradicating our microbiome. I don't know if I sometimes wonder, can the human species come back? Because if you look at the Hunsas and you look at their microbiome, which is really important for our health, and then you look at us, the microbiome of the Hunsas is 5,000 varieties. We have 1,500 varieties. So we, as the future, I'm no longer a future generation, but you are, because I've given birth to my children. But you will be giving birth to your children. And it's about thinking about the partner. Here we go again. Thinking about the partner that you choose. That you can have a family that is fully functioning, fully healthy, that, I don't know, like there's a question, can we bring it back? Or are we as a species doomed, which is hard for a 23-year-old to come to?
It is something that's definitely played on my mind. While I was sick, I was also told that I was infertile and I potentially could not have kids. And to even think about having my eggs on freeze and things like that. And at 21, I'm thinking, I have not even thought that far.
Wow.
I don't even want kids, but it really scared me because I thought, well, what if I do? And have I wasted this time? So that's...
Can I just ask, who told you that?
Who told you couldn't have babies? And so egg
a
freeze?
gynecologist. So,
And was he the person that would take your eggs out and freeze them?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just wondering if there's a little bit of political agenda in there. You know what I mean? Like you start becoming
It's the only way that they think.
Yeah.
They can't think, change your diet and things might change. No. They'll just think, well, this is the problem, and this is where you're going, and these are the drugs you'll take, and done. Am I right? Is that what they do?
Even with Mum, she just said, she was so torn. She says, well, I mean, she wasn't well educated enough to make a decision to say, right, let's not go down that line. So that's where she said, right, we'll go see a specialist and see what they've got to say. Then we'll see what else we can do. So I decided not to go down that line. And I did just think I could heal myself out of this.
And you kind of know it, don't you?
Yeah, I felt I absolutely did know it. Yeah, that's not where I need to go. So it does play on my mind of how important it is. And I guess because I had that scare, I understand the importance of it. But for people my age,
what do you want to do now?
Very good question. Still not 100% sure, but I've also learned not to force anything. Something will come. Even in the past 2 years, I've always tried to force something. And when I force it, it doesn't happen. So I'm really just leaving it open to see what it is I want to do.
And what do you do in the process of looking for that? Like for people, there'll be a lot of people your age thinking, I don't know what I want to do. I mean, they're forced into going to university, or they do a course that they're not sure they want to do, or they do the course and come out and do nothing with it. So what's your methodology around finding that place?
We'll work with Kim Morrison.
That was a loaded question.
Touche you.
I think that's what it was about, is finding like-minded people, finding what that passion is, and aligning myself with them. And
do you know what's so
how
funny?
do they do it?
Is when Liz was saying to me, I don't know what to do, and we've been catching up a little bit with doing a few sparkles. I mean, it was Liz's family that made 28's business course change direction. We were going into David Jones, and it was doing a sparkle event with Liz and Edwina that, we sold so much product there that we both drove home going, this is not a retail business, this is an in-home connectedness business, so party plan. But what I actually thought when Liz was saying to me on the phone, I don't know what I want to do, and she'd gone to Melbourne, and I knew that struggle, I know that feeling of, well, I'll try this, and then you kind of get there and you realise it's not quite all that you wanted it to be, and where do I go? And then you feel guilty because you're not settled and you don't know your passion, you don't know where you're driving. And I actually thought she could come and work with Cindy. So I said to her, come to the coast, and I even said, you've got the three of us, I knew Karen was always has an opening for someone else that's broad thinking and open and willing to serve and support her to get her message out. I knew I didn't have a job for you, but I knew that there might, but just by being around all of us, there'd be a possibility. I really saw it with Cindy. And then when I saw how good you were,
but she kept you all to herself.
Did she even tell you, Cindy?
Yeah, no. But
never said a word to me.
But what I realised, and this is what I'd love to say to young people, and probably the three of us had this, and maybe that's why there's the attraction, is I said to her, honey, get around people, don't use money as the driver. Yes, I know you've got to survive, but be around people and it will come. And when I saw her willingness to work with me for nothing, to create a job that would give her income, as an employer, as someone who's leading this next generation, that is phenomenal. So, you know, to see that in you, Liz, is a true credit to you, because you're willing to put yourself on the line and show someone your worth, whereas a lot of the X, Y, or the Y generation has been all about, well, give it to me. I don't like it. Want it now. Instant gratification. And I think those old or those traditional cultural values in you is perhaps something that you can be leading this generation with, is that you got to earn it to get it. I mean, I saw a quote on Facebook this morning, I earned this, and it was a beautiful physical body. I earned this, I wasn't given it. I think that's beautiful. Yes, it was from a body image point of view, but I think anything in life. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
And so I take my hat off to you, and you're helping me deliver our new program, and I'm seeing it now through, and the gift for me is that I'm seeing it through a 23-year-old's eyes. So and now I'm thinking, how do I tap into this generation? How can we together, two generations or a generation apart, now support the next generation coming through? And, you know, to all of us in this age and maybe older, don't think these young people are all out to take. There's a lot of beautiful young people out there willing to give of themselves if we give them a chance. And I think that's something that you've
and
given
I am seeing it. Even with friends just who some I haven't even seen since school, emailing saying, what do you do? What's the best nutrition course to do? What's the best PT? Because I've seen that I've been there and done it. So I thought, how interesting. And they've all been to uni, graduated, working in jobs, but have decided it's not for them and they want to do something around health and fitness, which I think is amazing.
You know why health and fitness is becoming the new whatever? The reason why it's becoming that is because everyone's sick. And everyone realises that what we're doing now isn't working and we need to find something else. And because we are so many sick people, there is a need for this huge growth in this market because no one's teaching it. Like I went to school, 20 girls I went to school with at university. That's as many that were doing nutrition back in, 30 years ago. Now it's huge. It's like
it's actually really hard to get into. You need a really high OP score for what the course is to get in because it's so popular.
Yeah. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see. But then what are they teaching?
I did start mainstream, and when I was
how'd you go?
It was funded by the dairy industry, and we were told that calcium's the best. I just think this isn't.
But how cool that you're so sceptical.
Why am I doing this?
Thanks to your mum, it's not even maybe sceptical, it's just that you question.
Yeah.
And you question the validity and the impact behind it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to completely change tack. I want to ask you then, so from a relationship point of view, partners, ways of thinking, no, I won't go there.
When it's now time for you to leave.
No, but what I want to know is how is that working out there in relationship with your partner, for instance, and what his thoughts are. He's very hot, I'm just saying. But how is that working for you around, like, what's his thoughts? What's his upbringing? What's his processes around health? He's a CrossFitter too. Is he hearing you? Is he listening to you in a way? Or are you both educating one another? What does that look like?
Definitely educating one another. When I first met him about 4 years ago, he has always been into fitness, but he was on the protein shakes and just eating broccoli and chicken, and that was just what he knew. And then I guess being around me, it was very quick. The first thing I got rid of, non-negotiable, was the pre-workout. That had to go.
Was that the protein shake?
No, the pre-workout, which is this chemical.
Don't ask.
Caffeine to give you the buzz to make you work out harder. Yeah.
They have that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's huge. And he also did, he was into the gym and I was into CrossFit. So he came with me to a few CrossFit sessions. Now he is so obsessed and I'm not. So I think, and just the way I ate, he started to, and he could just see that, how important it was for his body and how much better he felt. So we're constantly learning off each other. And that's a non-negotiable for me in a relationship, is I do want someone who values their health and willing to learn and open. So that's
funny, that word obsession. We were on the weekend just down at my daughter's big, beautiful dance ballet show, and it was amazing. And I met an Australian ballerina, a beautiful principal dancer, And, you know, some of the mums were saying, oh, you know, I'm worried my daughter's become really obsessed. And this beautiful 14-year-old girl turned around and she said, obsessed, that's just a word the lazy use to describe the focused.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my gosh.
She's read that on a quote.
How good was that?
That's the word the lazy use
to describe
the focused.
focused. Shut the front door.
And she was 14.
Write that down.
Yeah. I'll tattoo that on my forehead.
14. What do you say to that? And all of a sudden, because I always wondered when I was doing my body sculpting and learning and doing my nutritional studies and all those sorts of things, people thought I'd become very selfish. Whereas I said I'd become very determined. And when they said I'd become obsessed, I said I'd just become focused. And so when I heard this beautiful 14-year-old say, it's just the word the lazy use to describe the focused, I went, oh, I wish I'd had that answer when my own tribe were telling me I'd become obsessed. And so I don't think obsession is a bad thing, particularly, and what was the other word when you were talking about the people that are over-obsessed with a healthy obsession with health?
Orthorexia nervosa. Yeah, it's a disease. Orthorexia nervosa, you have an unhealthy obsession with healthy eating. I have it.
Goodness sake, really?
Yeah. I have it. Because I am focused about my food and you know.
But who shouldn't be? It's a representation of life.
Exactly.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, that is.
Bless.
That is just brilliant.
So do you have any messages that you think mums or grandparents or dads what do you think we could be doing better to support this next generation through? What would you expect or want in a parent? I mean, you're lucky you've got it, but what would be your message around that?
Is having belief in where they want to go. And how I mean is my dad was very much needed a university degree, so I did nursing. I thought, well, I'll tick that off on his list. Certainly not on mine. So
Dad, you can leave now.
And that's what he wanted. And it wasn't until I started to go a different way. He's very open to it and so supportive. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without him. So I
Would
think
that be
it's
his
just,
wallet?
Yes.
Yeah.
He adores you.
He just adores
So
you.
I think it's not being too caught up. And I have a lot of friends and they only do university because their parents have told them they have to. When you can see their potential in something else that they're very passionate about and will be very good at. So I think it's just having that belief and letting them trial. Go and work for somebody for free to see if you like it and work out what it is you want to do.
Does it annoy you when your mum is floundering or flapping or not on target or focus herself?
Oh, absolutely. I worked with her in organic soil and she's the most unorganised person.
But what would you say to that? Because a lot of us don't get it right necessarily in our children's eyes. So what would be your advice to us when we're flapping and not organised?
It's just accepting who they are, and they've got strength in other areas, and maybe that's not one of them. And just, I think it's really just accepting each other and helping out. That's the biggest lesson that I learned.
And
family.
with your mum around there, because she is such a beautiful woman and she gives so much to so many. I'm just trying to draw it out of you because you've said it to me already, that while she is so amazing at giving to so many others, I've heard you even say you just wish she could do more for herself at times and focusing on her sometimes. And
absolutely.
Would that be something as a young woman that you would recommend? That's what you want to see in your parents, their love of self. I'm only saying that because you've said this a number of times to me. So in that respect, what does that look like to you? A woman, a mum who loves herself and looks after herself, what does that look like? So that we can all hear it.
It's been the support, and especially because she's been the support for us for so long. It's now kind of our turn to back her and to back both my parents. They've been amazing support. We wouldn't have done the things that we've done. And it was financial stress and emotional stress for sure. So it's just backing them now.
Oh, beautiful. Well, we think you're beautiful.
And I'm glad you work with me.
And we're going to have a meeting afterwards.
Get your checkbook out. Are you selling her, are you?
Is this an auction? She's a trafficker.
Is this auction?
Hey, now there's an idea. Nice idea. So hopefully you've enjoyed the podcast as much as we have with beautiful Lizzie Kent. Thank you for joining us, my love.
No,
and thank you for
thank
sharing
you.
your side of things. So make your comments on our Facebook page at allthews.facebook.com/up-for-a-chat.
You can meet Liz at our Awaken the Change.
Oh, Lizzie, you coming to Awaken the Change? Of course you are.
Apparently.
Look at that. Oh, how excitement. Okay, so awakenthe.changewithin.com is where you're going to find Kim, Cindy and myself live on stage for 3 intensive days and the beautiful Lizzie. Now, I think that we could actually talk to Miss Liz about what we can do with her if we get any younger participants coming through in perhaps doing some coaching with them.
Well, she might even come and help us do one of the PT sessions as well.
I think that sounds like fun. Ripper.
And mother-daughters.
Mother-daughters. I think that's
I sometimes
fantastic.
think it's really good for mother-daughters to come to this.
Absolutely.
And, you know, if the fathers and sons want to come too, they're welcome. But I think a mother-daughter thing is really important.
It's really powerful.
It's very powerful.
So go to awakenthe.changewithin.com and book your seat and do it now. Don't wait, do it now. You can also go to allthews.thewellnesscouch.com and post your comments there. So thank you for Lizzie for joining us, and for all of you guys out there listening, join us here next week on Up for a Chat and become part of the ripple effect that's changing the world.
Hi, it's Damien Christoph here. If you're loving the Wellness Couch podcast, then you'll absolutely love our special once-only free 4-part webinar series starting Thursday, October 30. Join me and my Wellness Guys co-host, plus Marcus Pearce from 100 Night Out and Inside the Champion's Mind, as we dive deep into the hot topics of wellness over 4 consecutive weeks. Brett Hill will kick us off by showing you how to be fab and fit in 5. I'll be presenting What the F and discussing the big bad F words when it comes to food. Lawrence Tam will leave you inspired with a magnificent mindset, and MP will reveal his 10-step formula to mastering your life. These webinars are absolutely free and they go for an hour each, and they take place every Thursday night from October 30 until November 20. To get access, you must sign up, so simply go to www.thewellnesscouch.com or check out The Wellness Couch on Facebook.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavour to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.